Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow, 11th of November, Jupiter is turning retrograde, and he will stay retrograde until 10th of March of next year. Jupiter retrograde will not cause any harm, I can tell you already. There are other planets which, when retrograde, can be a little bit more challenging, but Jupiter will not be challenging. Now, of course, when retrograde, the planets become slower in motion. And retrograde, they look only from our perspective. Literally, they are not moving backwards. Jupiter is the most benevolent planet, together with Venus, of course, but he is bigger than Venus, and he is considered the great benefic. Now, Jupiter is ruling abundance, childbirth, fertility, the high religious feelings of people, the highest lofty goals. Jupiter is about, according to Bin Sedun, one of the greatest astrologers of our times, actually, according to him, Jupiter is also indicator of the higher angelic reason or wisdom or intelligence, and the connections of the person with these worlds, with the angelic world. And when we see how Jupiter is placed in people's horoscopes, whether Jupiter is badly placed or very well placed, we can see how the person, what was the relationship, the connection of this person in past lifetimes with these realities of high vibrations, of the angelic realities. So we can see where the our mistakes were when it comes to such connections and relationships. Now, Jupiter is also about the true democracy, the true lofty ideas, the true democratic ideas. He is also ruling people who make the great changes and reformations in our society. And certainly when he's retrograde, people will not be so lofty and running after some idea or project or plan that they have for the society and for the world. When retrograde, people will be more like revisiting these qualities of theirs, these the great ideas, plans, religious thoughts, philosophical thoughts, views on democracy, let's say, views on the angelic worlds and the high vibrations. And there will be more, it will be more about revising those virtues and not so much really engaging into such lofty ideals and really trying to achieve lofty goals. So this retrograde motion of Jupiter is certainly not harmful, but it may cause a dose of delay in such types of activities and thoughts and emotions and drive in people. Very important, of course, is how Jupiter is placed in your horoscope, which houses he is ruling. Now, talking about this, just let me tell you briefly that Jupiter is right now, according to this sidereal astrology, because we speak only from the perspective of this sidereal astrology, which is astronomical. As you know, when we speak about sidereal astrology, we literally mean how the planets are really, truly, astronomically, technically placed on the sky. So Jupiter now, as we speak, is becoming stationary. Actually, he's stationary already, sorry. He's becoming retrograde tomorrow in the very last 30th degree of the constellation of Gemini, the constellation of the great twins, the constellation which is ruling the natural third house of the zodiac. And Jupiter becomes retro in this degree, and his stationary slowdown, stopping moment is in the 30th degree. So he's emphasizing, he's trying to show us something in the 30th degree. Now the 30th degree is not very easy degree. The 30th degree is destructive degree in general, to tell you, and it is believed that it can cause earthquakes and natural disasters. It doesn't mean that Jupiter went there will cause suddenly natural disasters. I don't say this. I just say that this degree, in combination with the benevolent energy of Jupiter, is a little bit, how to say, decreasing maybe his benevolence, because he has the good goal of softening these degrees of eventual troubles, natural disasters. So I think that he is even helpful in this degree. But also let's say that he is weak in Gemini because he's considered detriment there. But he in Gemini is not so much about high ideas of democracy, of saving the world, of starting new chapters in humanity's lives. He is more about communication, commerce, studying, teaching. So he remains in this realm, and he's not so powerful, but wherever he is, he's good, and he brings his dose of blessing. So when he turns retrograde, it is more like him concentrating on revisiting these matters which he rules, and these are these virtues which I just listed. So he also is about noble ambition and ideal inclinations. This is very strong in Jupiter, especially when he's beautifully placed. In the brain, together with the sun, he governs the high moral feelings. That's why also when he's in a bad combination with the sun, we know that the person inherited from past lifetime also these inclinations not to. The person was not in a very good harmony with the spirit world, and in this lifetime he needs to work on his spirituality. So also he in general is representing the spiritual part in the human being. So he's very much about spirituality. Also, I will tell you that when his influence is so beautiful and so powerful and so present, that it is even said and believed that when Jupiter is with one of the two lunar nodes, with Rahu or with Ketu, with the head of the dragon and the tail of the dragon, he's the only planet which is capable to soften them. It's like they are not so harmful in the horoscope when they're with Jupiter. Imagine so sweet and benevolent his energy is. So he's about benevolence, idealism, generosity, honesty. See, honesty. And when retrograde, we are analyzing these qualities in ourselves. Are we honest enough? Am I generous enough? What is my mission in this lifetime? Am I on my right path? So you will be questioning yourself probably a little bit more. So he also is ruling professions like law and big business positions. For example, he is ruling the juridical, law, juridical professions, higher clergy, medicine. Of course, he rules the 12th house of the zodiac and the 9th house of the zodiac. The teachers, priests, very religious persons, gurus, very spiritual people with very high spirituality. So also he likes ceremonies, he likes rituals, all this. And now when retrograde will delay all these things. And when retrograde, he will influence these professions. People who are spiritual, visible, teachers, gurus, some healers, yes, people in the law, business and industry. So public speakers of some kind. So these people, or people who have the aim and feel that they have the mission to save the world, you know, these people may, because of the retrograde motion of Jupiter, question themselves. Am I on my right path? Am I doing the right activities? Is my plan working? You know, they may revisit. And this, nothing wrong with that. If Jupiter is also representing the joyful, happy ceremonies, not only rituals, and all this may be a little bit delayed. I don't know if he will really delay finances. In general, I tell you, in Gemini, he's not so doesn't hold the potentials of blessing the finances so much because he's detriment. But yes, in Gemini, his focus, like I told you, is on commerce, correspondence, negotiations, communication, studying, you know, not so much on these very lofty ideas which I mentioned, but still, because of his nature, he delays, like, doesn't deny, he delays a little bit because we are questioning whether we are really that honest, that lofty, that much following our true path and mission and so. So this is, I think, very important. But like I tell you, nothing harmful he will cause, absolutely not. Even though, you know, there is a belief coming from the ancient astrology, indeed, when we come to this world and when we live, we really, the moon is always involved. So when we die, we don't die without the moon. When we come, it's also with the moon. There is even this, you know, belief that even the moon as a body is our last station before we descend on Earth. I don't know if this is true, just I'm telling you what I know. But also it is believed that Jupiter is also accompanying us when we live, because he's calming us down. He's making us not to have fears and worries when we live. So he has everywhere, overall, this very beautiful, calming, soothing role. Like I told you, he's the one who really calms down Rahu and Ketu. The two lunar nodes, which otherwise are not easy. They can be very difficult, especially if the person is ruled by one of those, or is going through the cycle of one of the two, Ketu or Rahu. So these people know that he's not easy. None of them is easy. But if they're with Jupiter, they're much easier. So and also one thing which is beautiful according to Bin Seduna, so he's saying if there is harmonious combination with Jupiter, and if the harmonious combinations are predominant in the horoscope, in the human brain will be structured and formed under Jupiter's influence, and will contain the prevailing creative forces, qualities and properties of Jupiter. Such person will have the best opportunity to develop Jupiter's virtues, gifts and abilities, philosophical abilities, religious feelings, spiritual aspirations, love for social activity, generosity, mercy, intuition. Jupiter is representative of the higher mind, higher wisdom, because all the blessings sent from various higher worlds to man come through Jupiter. In other words, through the higher mind. Through Venus come the blessings of love. Through Venus come the blessings of love. And through Jupiter, the blessings of the higher reason and wisdom. So you see, and he turns retrograde. So see, nothing bad with this. Just that we will revisit the higher, the blessing that comes through Jupiter, which is the higher reason, the higher wisdom, the higher reason, because wisdom actually is the word which belongs to Saturn, but to a degree also to Jupiter. So the higher reason. So this is about Jupiter. So you see, again, important, one more word to say about this degree, of course. This is very important. Jupiter in the 30th degree of Gemini. Malefic degree, which is undermining a little bit the power of Jupiter. And but still, I believe that he will have even saving role, like protective role over this degree, so that if there is some natural disasters, it will not really go, it will not really become dramatic or extreme. Jupiter certainly will have his role of a savior there. That's why I'm not so worried about this degree, but still this is undermining a little bit his powers. People who have who are ruled by Jupiter, meaning what? Ascendant Pisces, ascendant Sagittarius, or if you have ascendant right now Gemini, where Jupiter is, of course you will feel immediately his change in motion. Now also, if we continue with this analysis, we need to look at what is happening in the signs which Jupiter is ruling. And if we look at Pisces, we know that there are Saturn and Neptune conjoining. Saturn and Neptune are in Pisces, and Jupiter is their dispositor. So you see, Saturn is not very powerful, of course. We spoke a lot about this in Pisces. Jupiter is not very powerful. And this is why you see in the world, see, Jupiter is not powerful. He's dispositor of Saturn, who is also not powerful in Pisces. And these are the two planets which are responsible for the economy of the world, for the status quo, especially when it comes to economy. Every aspect between Jupiter and Saturn is an indication on the economy of the world. Of course, we need to take into consideration Mercury, Venus, the Sun, all this, but I'm speaking about Jupiter and Saturn. When they aspect each other, they give very clear idea of them, of economy, markets, gold too, involving the Sun. But I mean, they are very, very important in this regard. And when the two planets are not powerful enough, you see the political situation, which is linked to economy so much, and the status quo. You see how the regimes are, first of all, they are very weak everywhere, in every country. Almost the regimes are weak. We have the impression that they will be about to fall. They're about to fall, but they're not. So of course the retrograde motion of Jupiter now will not give stability, certainly, on these regimes, on these fake elites, and all this is happening to the world, everywhere in the world. But certainly, what to say, this is not giving them strength, but also not breaking them. And we all hope that they will fall and that something new will happen. Actually, new will happen, especially after, it will be most probably the spring of 2026. Many things will change, but this is another topic, and I'll be speaking a lot in this series which I'm preparing now. So, speaking about Jupiter, actually embrace this. Maybe this slowdown will help you to reanalyze your mission, your work, your goals, your personal qualities, your honesty, your generosity, your kindness, how you communicate with others, how merciful I am, all this. So this is very good, because this will help us to raise our vibrations, and this is why we are here, right? So this was about Jupiter. I hope it was interesting. I am not giving you in this video the you know, the mythological story coming from Babylon or from the ancient Greeks, because let's keep it more technical and more esoteric for now. All the best. See you very soon. Bye bye.